Dear participants, in selection matrix, selection analytics 1 and 2, we have learned few metrics that will help you to understand the selection process better. And I hope you have already learned about the selection process and challenges that a manager face at a workplace. So, in selection analytics 3 also we will learn few more metrics that will help you to understand the selection process better, right. So, what we will learn, let us discuss. As we already know that selection is a negative process, recruitment is a positive process. We invite the people to come and apply for the job post, but in selection we reject the people. So, that is why it is a negative process. So, in this session we will learn how to do the rejection analysis, as well as we will understand the importance of this rejection analysis, and we will understand the effectiveness of this screening method, importance of testing, effectiveness of this selection method also, that is what we will discuss, right. So, these are the things that we will discuss in this particular session. So, let us start with the employee rejection analysis. So, in each organization, whenever this selection process takes place, we reject some of the candidates, right. So, what I want, being a manager, I want to make you understand, you should learn why you are rejecting the candidate. What is the reason for their rejection? That is what you should understand. So, if you will see this selection sheet, or I can say that interview sheet, right. So, where one side you will see in an interview sheet factors are there like criteria, right, and then you will see desired, right, what are the things that organization is needed in the candidate, and candidate characteristics, right. So, factor could be related to the background, factor can be related to the person, right, ability, right, factor could be related to the personality, right. And then what is the desired level? For example, background is there, so somebody may require the 5 year of work experience, this is the desired. So, and how much candidate is having? Candidate is having, for example, 4, right. So, in the same way, that entire sheet can be prepared, and then the decision can be taken whether this candidate should be selected and whether this candidate should be rejected, right. So, these, if you will analyze these all parameters for a candidate in most of the jobs, right, you will find these all parameters are related either to person job fit, either person team fit, person organization fit, person supervisor fit, and one more fit that we can add, person culture fit, right. So, person culture fit. So, these are the regions that we can see. So, if we have, for example, we have rejected the 200 candidate in our organization, whoever has given an interview. So, 200 that we have rejected, right. So, what is the reason for them? What is the reason? 20%, so 50 people are rejected because of the person job fit, 50 are rejected because of person team fit, 50 are rejected just because of person organization fit, 50 are rejected just because of lack of person supervisor fit, right. So, if you know this particular thing, what is the reason for the rejection of your candidate, you can divide this data as per the source of recruitment also. Source of the recruitment, if people are coming from the third party, people are coming through the employee referral. So, where is the high rejection rate? In which source is a high rejection rate? So, that indicates that this high rejection rate indicates that the candidates are not suitable for the job. So, if your cost is involved in bringing the candidate from that particular source, so you can think of reduce not investing time and money in that particular source when you are rejecting the most of the candidate which are appearing in the interview from that particular So that's the one thing that you can decide after doing this rejection analysis. Second thing that you can think of, if in future you don't want to conduct the second selection process for few candidate, if you have to invite some of the candidate from this, or you have to develop a waiting list for these positions that you had for which you were doing the selection, if you have to develop the waiting list, so what should be the criteria for the waiting list? People who are rejected because of the person job fit, they should be given the priority, or people who are rejected because of the person organization fit, they should be given the priority. So according to your organization need, you have to take a decision who should be given a priority, on what basis you should develop the waiting list criteria, right. So this waiting list criteria also you can develop by doing this rejection analysis, whoever is being rejected inside the organization. That is the one thing, that another thing that you can analyze through this rejection analysis. So in addition to employer branding thing, where to invest more, that decision you can take through the rejection analysis. Second thing that you can do, you can think about the wait list. Third thing, again you can decide, you can do the analysis in depth you can go, and then you can do the analysis department wise, right, in which department people are rejected because of what, right, department wise, that is what you can do it, right. And then you can do city geography wise also, like people who are coming from particular geography, what is the reason for their rejection, right, particular institute, if it is a campus placement, then from which campus they are coming and what is the reason for their rejection. So if you will give a input to them, then it could be good for that particular institute also to train the upcoming students for that particular skill. So that is why this rejection analysis is very important. So the moment you have a number, then you can convert into the percentage also. So like 25%, 25%, 25%. So this 200 I had taken the example, and then equally I had divided among all four categories, and the same way you can see the percentage also coming the 25 in each category. So this analysis will help you, as I already said, you can go in depth, and department wise you can do the analysis, city wise you can do the analysis, and you can make the two important decision through this analysis. As first decision is related to employer branding, in which area, in which source you have to invest more, because if people are coming, they are increasing the number of application, but they are not suitable for the organization, so you can invest less time and less money in on that particular source, right. And your candidate from where are coming more suitable, more good candidate are coming from different sources, then you can focus on that. That is the one decision that you can take based on this. And second decision that you can take, how to develop the wait list criteria, on what basis you should give the wait list criteria. These are the parameters that you can decide, and based on that you can develop the wait list criteria for the candidate. Next important thing that I always say, we should think what is the ideal time for an interview. How we should decide what is the ideal time for an interview? For some positions you will see interviews may take one day, complete may take one day, right, different department, different rounds, right. And sometime you will see interview is getting over just in 1 hour, right, 2 hours, that process that you will see, right. How many number of questions that we should ask, right, what should be the number of the questions that we should ask. So if we have calculated this data, right, for any job position, so job category that you can write here, let us say sales department, right, So average time, so 50 people have given the interview, for each 25 minutes has been taken. So 25 minutes is the average time, right. So in order to utilize this time effectively, you can decide the number of questions, right, 5 to 6 questions that may be asked, and then along with their area also, from which area these questions should be asked. So if you are able to give this clear guideline to the a panel member, whoever is sitting in a panel, you can say this much time you can take, in past this much time has been already taken, and these many questions that you can ask, 1 to 2 question related to the background, 1 to 2 question related to the ability, and various types of fit, how you can assess, and situation based questions. So what are the questions that you are supposed to give? So that is how you can do the planning for the interview, because you are having the fixed number of the candidate, fixed number of candidates are there, right, and number of panels are also fixed, that you have already decided. If panel is taking more time, then it may be possible you will not be able to complete this interview process in entire day. That also could be possible. So, but in past, if you have conducted the interview and you know the average time is taken for one interview, what is the average time, right? And if you have to, being a HR manager, if you have to manage this average time, then you have to decide the area, from which area questions should be asked and how many questions should be asked. If you can say decide this thing, so on an average you can decide the number of questions, area, type of discussion, right. So interview is a random process, some other things also may happen, follow up questions also may be asked, but if you have calculated this average time, so in some interviews it will take little bit more, in some interviews it will take little bit less, but on an average you will be able to calculate in a day how many candidates interview can be taken in your particular organization. So that is what I say, you can decide number of questions and number of average time for the interview. So if you are able to do that, then what may happen, you may control or you can manage your time effectively at a workplace during the interview process, right. So that is what you can do by doing this. So in the same way you can compare the department wise also, right, sales, HR, operations, finance, right, for each department how much time is being taken. So you can tell marketing, today marketing interviews are scheduled, so this much time will take, and if HR interviews are scheduled, then this much time will be taken, right. So average timing that you should be able to calculate, and number of questions that you can, average number, I am not saying you should instruct only these questions you will ask to the, you can say to the panel, I am not saying you should say to the panel you ask only these questions to the interviewer, no, I am saying average number of questions that you can suggest, an area from which area they should be asked, in order to do the holistic assessment of the candidate in the interview process. So if you have these two things in in your hand, the average time of interview and number of questions, average number of questions that has been asked during the past process, right, department wise, so then you will be, or department wise or job category wise, if you have this information with you, you will be able to manage your interview process very well. Next thing that we can calculate, and that ratio that I always suggest, that we should have the certain number. So first thing, first number that you can have, number of candidate rejected after screening of the application, right. So after screening of the application, let us assume 1000 employees have applied for a job. So how many people, because if 1000 have applied, it means, I hope you understand the difference between eligibility criteria and screening criteria. So eligibility criteria, they fulfill the eligibility criteria, they fulfill the eligibility criteria, that is why they have applied to this job, right. So 1000 people are fulfilling the eligibility criteria, whatever job posting that you have given, and after that you believe that this 1000 is too high, 1000 is too high. So now you cannot take the interview of 1000 people, because again if you want to give a opportunity to all people, then it will take time, it will involve certain cost, right. So you have decided, you were not expecting to receive the 1000 application for this post, but you received it, right. So now what you need to do, you need to develop the screening criteria, right. So screening criteria could be what? Let us assume experience that you had put here, job experience is 3 years, right, but you have made it 4 year, 4 year. So the moment you will make it 4 year, then few applications will reduced. So that is how, what you can do, you can keep this screening criteria little bit up, you can reduce, and you can identify what is the suitable number for your interview process. So that is how you can, based on this screening criteria, you can identify certain candidates. So if you are receiving the more number of the candidates for a job position and you are increasing the screening criteria, it indicates that you are already filtering and you are going for the higher quality of the candidate, you are taking higher quality of candidate for the interview process, right. So that number you should know, okay, this was the screening criteria and these many people were eligible for this job, right. Now once the selection is done, everything is done, then one more important thing that you should know, that rejection after the reference check, right. So after the reference check, sometime it may be possible some people have given the false reference, right, and when you check the reference that about the candidate, you did not get the good information, right, and when you try to verify some information about the candidate, those informations were false, right. So after this process, after this reference check, how many candidates were rejected? Let's say 10 candidates are rejected after the reference check, right, and what is their reason? Next thing that you need to understand, how many candidates that rejected after the medical checkup. Why these numbers are important? Because if you understand, if you know these numbers, then you should know one particular thing. When you are selecting the candidates, you should think always about one thing, for if number of positions are there and the final job offer that you are giving, it is less than the positions available, then it indicates that you could not conducted the selection process effectively, right. So if you know these numbers in advance, in past what has happened, so it may happen this year also, right. So after the selection also, after the making the final selection also, these people may not be able to join your organization because their reference check was not good and they were having the some medical problems also. So these numbers are also very important, and then screening number is very important is after the screening, because that will tell you every year how much, what should be the screening criteria. If every year your screening criteria is going higher and higher, it indicates that your quality of candidate is increasing. And one more another way you can say that your employer brand is increasing, right. So because you are getting the good quality of the candidate and you are able to attract the good candidate from your competitors, so it indicates that your employer brand also going up and your screening criteria is going up and up, right. So it is in favor of the organization. So you should know how to increase the screening criteria. If you will increase from this to that, then how many applications will not be applicable for this particular position. So that is what you should know in advance. So that is why these numbers are very very important, and you can have these numbers with you, and in the form of percentage, in the form of a bar graph, pie chart, you can present it, but you should have these numbers during your selection process also. Now let us discuss about the another method is your effectiveness of selection method. So selection method that we already discussed, like interview, physical test, computer based test, right, and personality test, and AI based game, right. So these are the various type of selection method, right. So that is what you can select this selection method, and then you can check what is the person job fit, percentage of person job fit according to this test, if these tests are testing the person job fit, right. So if these tests are testing the person job fit during the interview, physical test, whatever is a mode of the selection, you percentage of person job fit, right, and performance rating after 1 year, or percentage of goal achievement after 1 year. So, if for example percentage job fit, that is the test is giving, that is the 80 percentage, right, and performance rating that is coming, that is just 1 or 2, just between 1 or 2, that is the percentage rating, and percentage of goal achievement is just 20 percentage, right. So, what it indicates that? It indicates that that selection test that you have used to assess the person job fit, it was not useful, because if the person job fit is high, then person should be able to perform at a workplace, right, and but performance rating and percentage of goal achievement, both things indicate that this person job fit was not good, right. So here, if this is the thing that is coming out, it clearly indicates, it gives a signal to a manager to change the selection method, right. So by which method you have assessed the person job fit, right, and your ratings are different, your percentage of goal achievement is different, right. So just I have taken the one example of person job fit. In the same way, you can take the example of person team fit, behavioral aspect that you can take it, and then you can check the performance review, performance rating on behavioral aspect given by the manager. If you have rated so high during the interview, but rating during after 1 year is so poor, it means you failed to assess the candidate interview during the selection process. So that clearly indicates that. So here what you can do, all type of fit that you can keep here, and through which method you have checked it, right. If you find it your results were so high during the selection process, but after 1 year it is very poor, that it is poor ratings are there, poor results are there. So it indicates that your method of selection was not appropriate to assess that one particular skill. So it indicates that you should change the method of selection. So that is what you can see in how many cases. So what is happening? Let us assume you selected the 100 candidates, and out of 100, how many candidates were having the mismatch? Yani their since during the selection their ratings were very high, but during the actual performance their ratings were very poor. So in how, what is the percentage of that? In addition to that, two more criteria that I will add: cost plus time. Cost plus time that I will add. What is the cost for per candidate, right? Whatever test that you have selected, so what is the cost per candidate in order to conduct that test? So the physical tests are there, computer based tests are there, so you have to hire external agency to conduct that test. It could then, what is the cost per candidate, and how much time it is taking to prepare the result, right. So that also you can consider, so whether it is time taking or not. So on these three parameter you can check the effectiveness of the selection method, right? But first ranking that I always give to assessment of the appropriate skill. If the selection test is not able to assess the appropriate skill, then in how many cases the test is not able to assess, that is what you should consider. And if it is very high, if it is going 30%, 40% cases where right assessment of skill is not done, then seriously you should think about changing the selection method, right? So next concept that we have, importance of testing. So whatever test that you have done, right? So here you can write the name of the candidate and how many years that candidate has spent, and then performance rating, and that cognitive ability, interview rating, and integrity test, right? So here importance of testing, right? So these all tests are there and ratings are there, and here performance rating is there. So if in all tests employee has performed so well, right, and performance rating also so high, and that person is continuing with the working, right, it indicates that that candidate assessment was correct. But if in all tests candidates ratings is so high, but performance ratings are poor, and person leaves the organization within a year, within a 6 month, within a month, that indicates that our assessment was not up to the mark, right? So that analysis we should be able to do in what case, in what is the percentage of the cases where the percentage of performance rating, how many candidates were having the performance ratings were good and how many were not having the good. So that analysis we can do it. If it is going 50-50, it means we need to improve, because if it is going down, it indicates that you need to conduct the recruitment and selection process again, right? And you have to conduct that recruitment and selection process and again, and which is a cost. So if you want to save a cost by reconducting it, you can increase the assessment method by which you will be able to assess the candidate perfectly in all aspect, and then you will be able to select a candidate, and that candidate will stay for your organization. Now question comes, how we should decide for how many years a candidate should work with your organization. So in that case, I suggest only one thing, you should go with industry average. What is the industry average, right? For how many years one employee wants to work with you, because current trend, if you will see, most of the employees don't want to work more than 3 years with one organization. They work for 3 to 4 years and then they move to the another organization. So if people are working for 3 years, then you can say it is okay, because it is industry average. So that is how you should compare with your industry, in which industry you are working, right? And then you should compare, and then you can think about whether it is up to the mark or not. So I hope in this session you would have learned about the importance of testing, effectiveness of selection method, few numbers that you should remember, you should understand in order to make some projections, right? And interview time and average number of questions, how you should decide it, and employee rejection analysis, how it will help you to take important decisions in your organization. So thank you.